And I think that in positioning your body, like if you were positioning yourself also in there, like can you come in here and like if they're in your way, just insert yourself and then just get like in front of Harper and
The videos just started looping, so you guys can start talking about it now if you want to.
I'm really enjoying to like look up the stuff and the reading the text. And
There's a lot to take in.
Yeah, and I love like the scale, like kind of have a space to interact with this kind of things. I really appreciate it.
The space you've created here reminds me of a child's playtime, especially with the objects here. They have childish elements with the bedazzlement and everything like that, and I think that lends really well along with the text. It's kind of a weird clash that works well.
I like how you solved the problem of not walking in front of the projection. Like, you can still be able to see them, but also be able to walk in front of them and not disrupt the video.
Yeah, the rear projection works super well, especially in establishing the space and not breaking its own rules. So I feel like it makes for a more believable space that we can really inhabit and be there and spend time and consult these objects. It feels more immersive without revealing the technology so much.
Are we supposed to be able to hear what is being said in this one? Or is it supposed to be more distorted like this?
It was recorded pretty distorted. To be honest, I wanted it a little bit louder, but the speakers are like broken. But all the text is there, so I didn't think it was too much of a problem. It's mainly just her voice that I was adding to the sound component. Yeah.
So how do you feel as you're like consulting these different objects and taking it in? Is there a theme or a subject that emerges for you?
I mean, we're talking about child's play, but also these kind of remind me of like Teen Bop magazines. And like, I don't know how like bright and colorful and everything is. So I really get a very, I don't want to say, I don't know what the right word, not immature, but like young.
Juvenile?
Yeah. Juvenile in the
in a
best
good way.
They remind me of like those tween magazines or whatever. They're like celebrity gossip for 12-year-olds.
Right.
Yes, the quizzes on who's going to be your soulmate and that type of stuff.
Like the kind of thing you get when you're like 12 in elementary school or like middle school or whatever. Like, what does Justin Bieber look for in a crush?
Yeah.
I feel like with the text, I don't have a whole lot of context with it. I just have what you've given me in these little pieces, but like it's still very relatable and like I understand these feelings that are in this text, even though like I've probably never had many of these experiences. It's still like.
Can you identify the emotions that you're kind of connecting to in the text?
I feel like kind of like growing up almost. I don't know, that's how I relate to it.
It's kind of like coming of age moments.
Right, but not in a cringy way.
Right.
It just makes me think of like the way we talk about mental health and the way we don't like we kind of don't address it. Like we kind of say like, oh, you're feeling this way, but then it's also like there's kind of like this culture of like happiness and always, you know, this like extremist idea of like always doing something or always like having like fun or having your best life and that kind of thing.
So do you, like, this is making you think about the things we share and the things we don't share, or that we keep private or even hidden or repressed to some degree? How do you connect that these two characters are using at least some of the objects that you're using right now? Is this like, can we define the relationships between the humans involved right now?
I'm not sure what the relationship is, right? Like,
Okay.
like it's not, like when I first look at it, I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess I'm confused, but I think that's intentional.
Okay.
I feel like the text here reminds me of, like, when I was a kid I had a best friend, or like when I was a teenager growing up I had a best friend that was my closest friend for like 4 years, and we text very casually like this, but it would be like, I want a third bowl of oatmeal, but I also want to die, and it would just be like really like an open conversation. So I feel like the humans, like the text for me feels like conversation, and I feel like the humans relate to that.
Are these like actual found, like, is the text like actual text you sent, or?
Yeah, it was compiled between the two of us from our conversations, and I kind of went through a lot of conversations and was like copying, pasting things and like analyzing them and thinking about how I could put them together.
Was
Right.
it your conversations with each other, or like
With
your
each other.
conversations with, okay.
Yeah, specifically just between the two of us.
Okay. I really like how you use text and conversation and without using the really typical like just screenshot of the message board, because that's used a lot, and I like how because I recognize them as like shorthand like text that you wouldn't say all these things in like conversation like us talking, but I really enjoy like that.
There's also like the weights on the screens themselves, and they kind of remind me of like paper bags. I'm not really sure why I like that so much. Like I can't put into words, but I think it's that kind of stuff right there. So I guess it's kind of like relating to some of the childhood aspects of the events. It's like little kids going to behaviors from the parents wanting to or whatever.
Yeah, I think it contributes to making it more of an event.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, some of you guys are in the space right now, some of you are on the outside, so I think it's probably a little bit of a different experience. But I think it makes it more of an event of something that you're attending, and you're all you're on the floor together consulting the same materials that these people are consulting. So it's sort of becoming this loungy space where you enter someone else's world and someone else's, like, two people's conversation. Can we, like, so Elizabeth is here with her camera, and so that's another aspect that we can consider. Like, there's these relationships between those two, your relationship among yourselves when you're sharing this space, your relationship to the artist that's holding a camera. Are you recording right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a bunch of different relationships and forms of communication that are recorded, that are happening live, and that are being recorded again. What do we make of that? How does that, is that part of generating meaning here?
I just read that as her recording her critique for
As opposed to
self-improvement.
it being for a part of the work?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't, because for who uses cameras.
Because that's an old school.
I love this project a lot.
Yeah, I kind of felt like the camera was used in some ways because of like how specific that camera is. Like, if it were on any other camera, like phone cameras, then like I probably wouldn't have thought much of it. But the fact that it looks like it was the camera that recorded these videos, kind of like makes me think like video aspect and stuff like that. Like, those videos of parents show you like you running around in the yard as a little kid, like why do you have that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I can speak to that, like the reusing and translation of materials was like really important for generating my project because like part of it to create the box involved we live in different states and have a really close friendship. So it was like me translating her personal objects into something that I could make out of my dorm room and then mailing it to her, and then we both made these videos using the same equipment, and like I mailed her these green screens. So then like for my critique I wanted to like re-involve you guys, all of you, in our conversation with the camera and the green screens, and to like bring the box back.
What was the space that you chose to base this project on?
It started, it was like this alley because I think like as you kind of mentioned, like from reading the text, like it's something really casual and like a constant conversation. So we just like would be like constantly talking, but then I found that with that, we would each have like an a digital idea of like the other person's personal space in their like separate life, of their like physical space and like different places that they're like walking through and having conversations. So it's like kind of like blending that like digital constant conversation with like a physical space and then like making it like something like imaginary and connective.
But this is based on a very specific space in
Yeah.
the city for you, right?
Yeah, cause like, cause it's one of those places that I think that people feel differently when they walk through the city, and when you don't have a home, you like randomly find somewhere that you feel good and like you feel like your thoughts are clear.
I think that it's interesting to see this kind of final configuration. I think that a lot of it's so weird to be filmed. A lot of these formal elements I think make sense, like the ribbons, the shower curtains, the little kind of party favors, like weights for the balloons, your cardboard green screen. So I think it's very consistent in certain terms of choices. The space where I think there's more opportunities is in your performance right now, and in filming us, because I think that there's an interesting exchange between what we're offered. Like we're offered a chance to like read these texts, read these little pieces of information that we otherwise would not have access to, and that you might not want everyone to read your casual conversations that you have with friends. So we're being offered that, but I think it's an interesting trade that if you want to consult the objects, then you need to be filmed. So it becomes another form of surveillance and recording. And it's like either you're in and you're filmed and you become part of the world, or you don't get to access them. But I think that in how you're moving your body through the space, like you're one of the participants. And I think that in positioning your body, like if you were positioning yourself also in there, like can you come in here and like, if they're in your way, just insert yourself, and then just get like in front of Harper and film Harper. Like, so like there's potential for, sorry Harper, I'm putting you on the spot, but so there's potential to kind of push that exchange, because I think, right, like a lot of this, and I'm out of this space, I should get in here, but a lot of this is about kind of getting these bodies talking to each other and connecting and being in communication. And if you're in the space, then you sign up for this and you're being filmed. And I think that you could push that more by, it's not necessarily being more confrontational, but making your presence known more, and it would become a little bit more, I don't know, it would read as more purposeful, I think.
Less documentation, more art.
Yes. And more in it, so that you're actually performing. And it's not that you have to be like extremely active about it. I actually quite like, at some point I thought, oh, she's on the outside and she's probably zooming in really, really close. So I think that that's an interesting trick, but I think it's really important how do you come in and out of that space and where you are in all of this. Because I think you're one of these kind of like activators of this space, and the artist being present, and we know it's you because you're in the video. I don't know. I think you being in there and being aware of your body and how you position yourself to film the participants is really, really important. And I think that's something that would have come up earlier in the conversation if you had been in that space.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think as the project, because I think a lot of this is about communication. It's about what is revealed, what is not revealed, and how vulnerable it can become to share, and how self-censor, like how we remove information from the text. Like some parts of this are obviously like it's deconstructed, patched up together, information is removed, it's made into a box book that's then reproduced into a zine type document. And who knows, maybe the next work that Elizabeth does uses footage from this kind of experiment. So now you're part of that world, and I think that exchange, that commitment, that willingness to kind of expose yourself and asking that of your viewer is an interesting thread to kind of keep pulling at. you have any questions for us as we wrap up? Things we
Um,
didn't address?
No, I think that was really informative.
Okay. Any final thoughts or comments for Elizabeth? Who would want to hang out in this thing longer? So that's info.
That's good.
You do what you want with that. All right, thank you.